Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where we dive into the stories and mysteries behind everyday things. Today's question comes from one of our curious viewers, Flapjack Fiasco. Thanks for sending this in, Flapjack Fiasco. You asked, why are aircraft battles called dogfights? Let's be honest, when you hear dogfight, you probably imagine two golden retrievers in little bomber jackets doing barrel rolls and growling at each other mid-air. But how did a term that sounds like a barking brawl end up describing intense aerial combat? Buckle your seatbelt and prepare for some turbulence, linguistically at least, right here on Explaining Everything. So, the term dogfight didn't originate in the sky. Long before fighter pilots were zipping through clouds and pulling 6 Gs, a dogfight literally meant what it sounds like: two dogs, usually trained, unfortunately, to fight each other. Yeah, not the cheeriest origin. These brutal contests go way back, and the word dogfight was already in the dictionary in the 1800s. But what does this have to do with planes? Well, metaphor, my friend. Think about what an actual dogfight looks like. Fast, furious, chaotic, close quarters, a blur of snapping teeth, wild energy, and lots of snarling. Sound familiar? That's basically the vibe of early aircraft battles, minus the fur and tail wagging. Let's go back to World War I. Aviation was still a baby, and by baby, I mean terrifying, rickety biplanes made out of wood, fabric, and hope. These things barely had engines strong enough to lift a sandwich. But once someone got the brilliant idea to strap a machine gun onto them, everything changed. Now you had pilots flying directly at each other, twisting, diving, spinning, and trying not to get shredded mid-air. It was fast, aggressive, and unpredictable. The kind of up-close frenzied chaos you'd associate with, well, dogs fighting. Hence, dogfight. Not everyone agreed on the terminology right away, though. Some early pilots called it mixing it up. Others used scrap or tangle. But dogfight stuck because nothing else captured that frantic, wild energy quite as well. Modern planes are sleek, computerized, and can launch missiles from miles away. But back then, you had to get close, real close, like I can see the other pilot's mustache, close. This wasn't just a contest of speed, it was all about maneuvering. Pilots would loop, dive, stall, spin, and fake each other out with tricks so wild they'd make a circus performer dizzy, all while trying to stay alive and get the upper hand. It was like an airborne dance battle, if the dancers were trying to blow each other out of the sky. Dogfights required sharp reflexes, guts of steel, and a stomach that could handle pulling G-forces while being upside down. Imagine trying to do a math test on a roller coaster. Now, imagine someone shooting at you during that test. That's a dogfight. Another fun little piece of this puzzle. Early pilots actually did bark. Sort of. In World War I, radio communication wasn't a thing yet. So pilots sometimes used hand signals, flares, or even shouted to coordinate with each other in the sky. But here's the kicker. Some say that ground crews used dogfighting to describe the sound of planes snarling and growling as they revved and clashed overhead. The whine of those early engines wasn't cute. It was raw, growly, and loud enough to terrify a small village. and maybe a few actual dogs too. Add in bursts of machine gun fire and wild aerial stunts, and the whole thing sounded less like a battle and more like a really angry pack of Dobermans arguing over who chewed the sofa. So yeah, dogfight wasn't just a visual metaphor. It sounded like one too. You know what really cemented the term dogfight in the public brain? Movies. From black and white war films to Top Gun's sweaty volleyball-adjacent chaos, Hollywood loved a good aerial showdown. And dogfight became the go-to phrase for any high-stakes, high-speed sky battle. It was short, punchy, and dramatic. And honestly, aggressive aerial maneuver exchange just doesn't look good on a poster. By the time the 1980s rolled around, if you said dogfight, people didn't think of poodles. They thought of fighter jets, aviator sunglasses, and danger zones. Even video games picked it up. If you've ever spiraled through a pixelated sky trying to lock onto an enemy with Maverick blasting in your headphones, you've participated in a digital dogfight. Congratulations. It all comes down to chaos, closeness, and a whole lot of metaphor. Early aerial battles were messy, intense, and unpredictable, just like actual dogfights. Pilots were locked in close combat, spiraling through the sky like angry house pets with propellers. The term just fit. So next time you hear dogfight, don't picture a chihuahua in a fighter jet. Picture two daring pilots pulling wild stunts in the clouds, engines howling, adrenaline pumping, all while trying to outmaneuver each other in the ultimate test of speed, smarts, and guts. And maybe, just maybe, give a little bark of appreciation for how wild that history really is. If you've got that dog in you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and maybe send me some pictures of your dogs in bomber jacket and aviator glasses. Also, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.